Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here with a very special guest, a friend of mine that I've known for a very long time, a fellow cricketer and umpire, Nathan Weeks. Thank you for coming on to the show. I know you're a very busy fella playing cricket and in university in the UK, and I know the time difference too. I don't work around it, but I'm happy that you were able to come on today. This video will be about the West Indies versus England Apex Test Series that is scheduled to start the first week of March. The scores have been announced for quite some time now. What are your take on the England squad?
Well, I was pretty shocked that Broad and Anderson get selected for this tour, but I can see why Strauss, the interim
The selector, yes.
the selector, why because he's looking to the future. He's stated that it's not the end for Broad and Anderson, but he's looking to give others a go and what's not. So the lineup is going to be headed by Chris Watts, who has vast experience because he's been there for a number of years now. So Watts, he's gonna be be the senior man there without Broad and Anderson. So but England do have the bonus that Ollie Stone and Joff will be training alongside them in the West Indies, but they haven't put a time scale on when both of them will be back out in the park as yet. So, but I was I was shocked that Broad and Anderson, because Broad and Anderson didn't really have a bad test series because the batting is the main problem where England is concerned. And what's not. But I'm glad to see that Ben Foakes has got the nod because, in my opinion, I think he's the best wicketkeeper batsman in England.
Okay, thank you very much for that opinion. I'll read out the squad for the viewers that may not have seen the squad. Joe Root as the captain, Johnny Bairstow, Jack Crawley, Matthew Fisher, Ben Stokes, Foakes, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, Alex Lees, Craig Overton, Matthew Parkinson, Ollie Pope, Ollie Robinson, Chris Watts, Mark Wood, and Shakib Mahmood. What are the other surprises? You mentioned a few surprises with Anderson and Broad being dropped out of the squad, and you did mention that this head selector said that it's not the aim for them, but what other shocks come in this particular squad coming from the Ashes? You did mention that the batting was the struggle in the Ashes that they played against Australia when they were defeated 4-0. So take us through a little more of what we can expect from the debutants in the squad, the two debutants that have been named in the squad.
Well, I haven't seen much of Matthew Fisher in the county setup, but I have heard that he's quite a good prospect in terms of bowling and what's not. But Alex Lees has been knocking on the door for quite some time now, and I guess you can see some young blood being coming through in this series. So it probably would be. I should say Wesley should win because there's no Broad and Anderson, so Wesley shouldn't be too worried about this attack because it's a new attack coming to the Caribbean to face West Indies. And to add that, John Campbell should be happy that there's no Broad or Anderson because he did have his problems against Broad and Anderson.
Funny you mentioned John Campbell there just now. We'll get to him a little more because I found it pretty strange on the way how he got into the squad based on his first half performance ahead of Devon Thomas, but we'll get to that earlier down the show. As we all know, it's not only Broad and Anderson. There's 6 other players that have been left out of the squad, as in Best, Billings, Burns, Butler, Hamid, and Malan. So I think that this squad is basically a rebuilding squad. I don't know how well they will do against the West Indies, knowing that in the past, at home, West Indies versus England is always a good contest, and England always have to be on their A game. It's just that little spark that West Indies tend to bring when they're playing against England. We talk about the players, right? I just want to touch too on the change of the management team. As we all know that the head coach has been sacked from his position.
Right.
Paul Collingwood has stayed on to be the interim head coach. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Paul Collingwood has been in the role for a good while, and what's not, because since COVID happened, they had to split the roles because they had numerous bubbles. So everyone is aware that they,
Yes.
they had test matches, T20s and ODIs playing side by side. So they had to select different coaches to go on these various tours. And it said that Paul Collingwood is liked by the bunch and the lads in the dressing room, what's not. And I'm not really surprised at the sacking, because it's either leave Graham Thorpe and Chris Silverwood in their role and sack Giroud as captain, or sack Thorpe and Silverwood and let Giroud stay on as captain. So it was either or. It was a toss up between those two possibilities. So Giroud has stayed on as captain, and Giroud has also mentioned that he has not put a time scale to his captaincy. So in my opinion, I don't know. However, the tour goes in West Indies. As we all know, England have not beaten West Indies for a number of years now. So I don't know if this tour that is coming up in March will be the last straw for Joe as captain of England.
West Indies squad. Uh, I'll name the squad for you, and for the viewers that may not have seen the squad either. As captain, Craig Buffett, vice captain, Jermaine Blackwood, Nkrumah Bonner, Shamar Brooks, John Campbell, Joshua De Silva, Jason Hoda, Alzari Joseph, Carl Mears, Baristami Pamal, Anderson Phillip, Kimar Roach, and Jaden Seals. Now, in this West Indies squad, there are a lot of names, well, two names in particular that everyone have the eyes on from the time the squad was announced. Shamar Brooks coming back into the West Indies squad, and John Campbell from 100 against Barbados in the last game, I should say. What are your inputs on John Campbell, especially since it's obvious that these squads were selected based on first class performances? What are your thoughts about Devon Thomas not being into the West Indies squad and John Campbell getting a nudge over him?
Well, my opinion is that Desmond Haynes is trying to make a statement in the cricket, basically saying that once you perform, and we're going to acknowledge your performances. So once you perform in your regional cricket, knowing that it's not very much games that they do play at regional level in the Caribbean. Once you do perform, we will acknowledge your performance, and you will get selected based off performance. So I can understand why John Campbell has been selected, because he now scored 100 against Barbados. So I don't really see a problem with that, because I guess you're doing selection based off performance. And Devon Thomas now, I think Devon Thomas is probably past it now, because he's in his 40s. So I guess I can see why they haven't gone back to that route, because he has gotten his fair bit of pick at international level, and then he hasn't capitalized on it. So Devon Thomas will probably score a 50 now. And then if he does get, say he gets 3 or 6 games down the line in the series, then he doesn't punch up. So you can see why they have gone back to John Campbell.
But funny you say that he's washed up. I still believe that if he was washed up, that he's probably would have been in the President's 11. Debutant for the West Indies too, I forgot to mention earlier, was Anderson Phillip. He's been a young, promising fast bowler for Trinidad for quite some time now. He's played 16 first class matches and has 64 wickets. And in the last two first class matches that concluded early this month, was against Jamaica and Windward. He picked up seven wickets for 63, taking a fourfer and three wickets in the second innings. And then against Jamaica, he picked up a 5-wicket haul in the second innings. To me, I think that his selection was based on raw talent and constant performances, which I'm extremely pleased to see that the selectors, as you said rightfully, that Desmond Haynes is basically picking up performances, which is a good thing for West Indies cricket, knowing in the past where we had a lot of hiccups, won't get too into detail with it.
Yeah, correct.
With Shamar Brooks. Shamar Brooks, I think that he's really, really been getting it hard, to be honest, playing for the West Indies. He was into he was in the ODI squad that played in India where they defeated Trilove. They got whitewashed. Then he came back and he scored 39 runs off of 94 balls, which was, to me, an innings. I watched it live, and watching the innings, it looked like if he was in touch. He was really in touch, and he looked like he deserved to be at the higher level, at the test level. So I think that is what really gave him the nudge to get into the West Indies squad. Another big talking point in the West Indies is the spinner role. Yeah. The spinner role, for sure. The spinner role.
Yeah.
As we know that 8 players or so was dropped out of the squad that played in the last series. I think it was against Sri Lanka last year, November, December. The players that were dropped was Roston Chase, Rahkeem Cornwall, Shai Hope, Jeremy Solizano, and Jamal Warrican. And due to injury, Shannon Gabriel.
Yeah.
That spinning role was normally between Jamal Warrican and Roston Chase. And Cornwall, what are your thoughts to Veerasammy Permaul getting into the squad to play against England in the Apex Test Series?
Well, I can see why they've gone with the left arm in Veerasammy, but also Warrican does the same thing. But I guess with Veerasammy, I think probably has more variation and a tad bit more variation than Jamal Warrican. And I guess when it comes to Antigua, the first test, you have to see, as Desmond said, that you have to see how the pitch on the day goes, how the conditions are. And going back to Anderson Phillip, I can understand why the selection panel picked Anderson, but I was kind of thinking why they didn't select Raymond. Because I know Raymond Reifer and Jason Holder, as Andrew touched on, they're two different all-rounders. You can't put them in the same bracket. But if you're looking to lengthen the batting lineup, I guess you can play Reifer as a batsman. And I guess he can bowl the odd 1 or 2 overs if needed, if somebody does go off with a niggle or something. So in the game, I guess you can bowl him 1 or 2 overs. And Raymond Reifer over the years has shown, even in New Zealand, when he went to New Zealand, showed he's played gutsy innings for West Indies when he has been given the opportunity. So I guess you could have looked at a Raymond Reifer and you could have picked a Raymond Reifer over Anderson Phillips. I guess if you're looking to lengthen the batting lineup. That's just my opinion.
I've listened to a lot of people talking about the same point there you were just giving with the Raymond Reifer and the Jason Holder, because he's always been looked as a shadow when Jason Holder's in the West Indies squad. And you mentioned he played in the New Zealand game, and that was only because Jason Holder was rested in that game. And there's many argue that there's no need for Raymond Reifer when there's a Kyle Mayers in the squad. But I really think that he can be played just as a batsman, because one thing that West Indies have been struggling in a lot too is the batting. They have improved tremendously from the Bangladesh series, where a lot of newcomers into the squad really got the nudge and performed and secured their spots for a few games, maybe a few series. But I really think that adding Raymond Reifer into the West Indies squad would have been a huge plus. He's in the present 11. I really think that if he continues to perform, I should say, that the selectors will really be looking at him to probably come back into the West Indies test squad. We were talking about Anderson Phillips. We can't talk about Anderson Phillips without talking about the person he replaced, Shannon Gabriel. I'll let you go first on it, because I know you have a lot. I know you have a lot to say about Shannon Gabriel.
Shannon's always injured, so it just goes. Shannon's never not always 100%. Well, no one is always 100%. First up, you're not always 100%. But Shannon always goes off the field with some sort of niggle. So I don't know if the conditioning team, I don't know if they're not doing their job, if he's not doing what he needs to do to strengthen himself and remain fully fit. But I know as a fast bowler, it's not easy. It's not very easy as a fast bowler. You do tend to do get go through a patch where you get injured quite consistently. So, but he is always injured. So I don't know if it's to do with strength and conditioning, his diet, what's not. I don't know. So until West Indies can 100% assure themselves that he is going to remain fit for 3 or 4 year period, then but you can't continuously select him and then he breaks down all the time, because that's what has been happening. He's been selected and then he's not being able to play the full amount of days that the cricket is going on for. So you can't keep on things. So if there's young blood coming, you give them a shot.
Yes, I really think that something needs to be put in place, especially for him, because he's had his problems in the past with his fitness, obviously, and it's been evident through a few years now for the West Indies cricket. And he's both short spells, and after 5 minutes, he's off the field. You can't see Shannon Gabriel, and then you have to then look at a Kyle Mears to come and bowl, or even the captain to bowl his little off-breaks bowling. And I really think that as probably the fastest bowler in the West Indies right now, that he has to work on his fitness, because it can be a real asset to the West Indies cricket. I think that with Shannon Gabriel in the West Indies squad performing as how he was performing when he first got into the squad, I really think that West Indies can go very, very far. And you mentioned just now too about the young talent. I really think that that's Jayden Seales just putting his hands up in the air, saying, yes, I want to take this opportunity. He's performed tremendously well throughout his short career. He's played for West Indies on 19, as many may know, in the 2020 World Cup. And then he's made his debut. And every since then, he hasn't looked back, and he's been really a real rising star for the West Indies. I saw today, just before I started this vlog, that he said that he had been analyzing the England players from the Ashes, and I really think that he's looking forward to the England series, and I know that he'll probably come on his A game. Obviously, he doesn't have the pace that Shannon Gabriel have, but he bowls constant lines and he has his games together. I really think that he's a bright one for the West Indies' future.
But going back to the point that you made, that the West Indies Cricket Board should like put something in place for Shannon Gabriel for him to work on his fitness. I think they with the Rahkeem Cornwall situation, if my memory is correct, I think they had Rahkeem Cornwall on a program. They sent him to America. They put him on a weight loss program or something of the sort, and he did come down pretty well. But as a player and as a professional athlete, you have to want it. So it's okay to say that putting things in place and stuff, but as the athlete, you have to want it, and you have to be driven to continue to stick at it, to want the best for you as a person and as a team. Because so you can, when you say A, you have to say B as well. So is if they're sticking to the plan, and if they are sticking to the plan, is the plan that they've been given, is it the correct plan for them as their body? Because everybody's body structure is different.
Yes.
So are the physio or whoever sets up these plans for the individual, is it the right plan for that said athlete, for them to continue to remain fit, or to what's not, lose the weight, so that they can come down and be respectable, or what's not?
Agreed 100%. I've been mentioning the President's 11 squad for quite some time as the first name that I will call might be a talking point, or it has been a talking point across the West Indies for some time during the controversy with the West Indies Cricket Board. Shane Dower is the captain, Raymond Reifer vice captain, Casey Carty, Brian Charles, Sherman Lewis, Preston McSween, Shane Mosley, Jeremy Salazano, Shamar Springer, Devon Thomas, Alec Athens. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name properly. And the last name is Colin Archibald. Some of these names are names that I've seen before, played youth cricket for the West Indies and have been off the radar for a little bit. And it's very good to see some of these names, especially the ones that have been capped before, amongst these younger ones like a Shamar Springer and a Brian Charles, who bowled tremendously well throughout the first half season, picking up probably I think 1 or 2 favors through the 2 games. Casey Carty, consistent. Devon Thomas, as I mentioned earlier, scoring 100 and 250s. And Raymond Riffa was constant with both bat and ball. Yeah. With this squad being selected with a mixture of capped and uncapped players, what are your opinions, or what do you think West Indies have planned for this particular group that are playing in the warm-up match against England?
I guess this bunch of players that has been picked in the present 11, I guess if something does happen to 1 or 2 of the players in the main squad, I guess these players will probably act as backup to the main squad. And I guess it's good to see quite a number of youngsters in that squad in Alec Athens. He's been in and around, I guess, the setup for a good while after under-19 cricket. And he's gotten his opportunities with the Windward Islands and what's not. And he's shown that he has the ability to perform when necessary. So I guess you need to keep these bunch of players together and have them playing consistent cricket in order to get better. And this game again, although it's just a President's 11 game and a warm-up game, it's still against good quality players. I guess they'll be able to gauge as an individual where their game is at, and that will probably help them to up their standard of performance and at training as well when they do train individually and also as a unit.
I really think that if we're looking for players to play for the West Indies and to come with their game, I really think that the first half season should still be playing, and it will give more players the opportunity to represent their country and for the selectors to get a larger pool of players to look at to play for the West Indies and even in the President's 11 team, so that they can get the experience when it comes to the President's 11 team where they actually play the touring team that's coming to the West Indies. Now, with that being said, all of the teams, we said the teams, we give our opinions. So what do you think are the playing 11 for the squads when it comes to the first test match?
I'll start with the West Indies squad first.
Okay.
I believe obviously John Campbell will open the batting with Craig Brathwaite. So Craig 1 and John Campbell 2. I'm not sure of my starting 11. I haven't picked a starting 11 yet. Depending on the conditions of the game, probably a Veerasamy Parmal might play, or they might go with a 4-prong pace attack. So it depends. Because if they do go with a 4-prong pace attack, the batting will be light. The batting is going to be light. So it will require John Campbell or Craig Brathwaite to. It will require Craig Brathwaite to.
Okay, understand. All right. Yeah. To make it a little easier for you, since you haven't picked 11, there are 13 players, and we'll just leave off 2. We don't have to set an order of where they're coming at. But who are the 2 that you think, depending on what conditions they are, that will be left out of the West Indies squad?
And Anderson Phillips. I don't see that he will make his debut in Antigua, but he probably will have a goal in be looked at in one of the 3 tests, whether it's in Barbados or
Grenada,
right? Barbados or Grenada, right? So I would say Anderson Phillips will be left out for the first test, and either for Sammy Parmol or Versami Pormal or Seals, because Joseph might get the nod over Seals, seeing that he has international experience over Jaden.
Mhm.
So it'd probably be Anderson Phillips and either Seals or Permore on given the pitch and match conditions on the day. If they see that spin it might turn, then for Sammy Permore will get the nod, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, for me, personally, on the all conditions page, I really feel that Zari Joseph might be left out. I think that Anderson might get his debut in the first test, and I think that Versami Permol might be left out of this squad. So I think that they might go with the all-seam attack.
Yeah.
Probably if he's needed, the captain will probably bowl himself.
Right.
If he needs to rotate the bowlers, then probably Kyle Mears might come into the attack to ease off the pressure for the main bowlers. So for the England squad, who do you think will play the first test match? Do you think that the debutants have a chance? Or do you think that they will go with it's not about the more experienced players in the squad to play?
Well, that's already more experience. Johnny Bairstow, Ollie Pope, Ben Stokes, Chris Watts, and Mark Will. Those are the six. And you can say Craig Overton a bit because he has been in and around the setup for quite a number of years now. So those are the seven experience out of the rest of the group. So I will say that Zach Crawley and Alex Lees will open the batting. Joe has said that he will move himself up to 3 for that series. So it's Joe Johnny Bairstow, Alex Lees, Zach Crawley, Ben Stokes. Ben Fox is going to play as well. Saqib Mahmood. Saqib Mahmood is a good prospect, and he's already stated that he wants to play Test cricket, and his main objective, as he sees, is Test cricket. He doesn't really, because he only plays white ball cricket, for England, and he what's not. But he stated his love for the red ball game, and that he would love to play red ball cricket and what's not. So is a tough pick because a number of names have been not selected because of what happened in the Ashes series, because it was the batting that was at fault, because so it's kind of like ask the bowlers like what they did. They didn't bring Broad and Anderson and what's not. And to be fair, this selection looks like I don't know how balanced it's going to be.
This is a very interesting squad because the way how this squad has been selected, it looks like it was selected just based on rebuilding, and you don't know, but we know the bowlers will make a statement in the West Indies for sure, but it's the batting that has been the downfall for England. So it should be very interesting to see who England go with for the first test match. So very tricky question. We might be a bit biased so we can do this question here, But who do you think will get the most runs or the most wickets when it comes to the Apex Test series?
I can see Jason Holder getting most wickets because he's very consistent, and I think he had most wickets in the previous when England did come. I think he had if my memory serves me correct, I think he did have most wickets at the end of is either most wickets or most runs. I can't remember, but I can see Jason Holder. Once he applies himself, which he does, I can see him getting most wickets in this series.
Okay. I think that I'm not sure if I will give Jason the bowling on this one. I really think that he would be one of the batsmen to look at in in this home series for sure. I think he did score most runs in the last home series against England. And another West Indian that I look forward to score runs and be among the run scorers for the West Indies is Nkrumah Bonner and Shamar Brooks, and maybe the captain if he's on if he's feeling in rhythm or in touch. For England, I think that the most runs will probably be this might be a shock, but I really think that Bairstow can score the most runs for England or for in series, and maybe a Ben Stokes or Joe for the bowlers that I really think we can look forward to. I'll start England squad first. Mark Wood. With the players that you have in the Caribbean pitches might be bonus for the England squad. And Chris Woakes. And then for the West Indies, I think that Jayden Seales will be rising star for West Indies against England this series. And maybe, just maybe, if Anderson do get to play all the test matches, maybe Anderson. I'm not taking Kimura Roach out to the running because I know the experience that you have and what's not, but I'm really excited to see these youngsters go in tandem and bowling together in home conditions. So I'm hoping that my predictions will come true. And for my third and final question, who do you think will win the series and what do you think the margin will be?
I believe West Indies will win the series. The reason why I'm saying West Indies should win the series, although these are just teams on paper, we have not really yet to see how it plays out when the starting 11 does get picked on the day, because we do all know cricket plays on the day. But the reason why I say West Indies will win, because this is an inexperienced lineup that England have selected for this series, so we do not know how England are going to perform against West Indies, because although these names are known in England and you have seen video footage of some of these players, not know how they will perform on the international level. That is the big ask. So I probably should be 3-love, but it will probably be 2-love or 2-1 in my opinion, with one of the tests being drawn.
I think that it might be I'm thinking that one of the games might be a draw. I'm agreeing with what you said with the inexperience that England is bringing to the table away from home. I really think that the West Indies, especially against England at home, has been nothing short of superb. They have always come at the A game against England. I think that there might be a one draw game, so I think that West Indies might win the series 2-love, but if there's not a draw game, I think that it can go West Indies with 2-1. And that's the end of what I have in store for the video. Thank you very much for giving your time to come on my podcast today in the 18 weeks.
No problem.
We have been interesting talk. Thank you very much. Any last words, anything you want to say before I end the podcast?
Just thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure having this discussion.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching. Hope y'all guys like, subscribe, share the video with your friends. And by the time this video will be posted, it will probably be just a day or two before the actual test match. The President's game might be ongoing when this is posted, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And yes, that's it. Thank you very much.